Hey, welcome to the No Life Kings podcast. I'm Draves.
And I'm Case.
And coming to you in issue 38, we're going to be talking to you about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and what we've seen so far. So, Case, we have one topic.
No.
Let's not screw it up.
Well, I was going to say we could also talk about the Loki trailers. If we don't want to, that's okay.
We'll add that on at the end. So we have two topics. Let's not screw them up.
Winter Soldier and the Falcon in reverse. As in it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I said it the wrong way.
Yes. So I guess...
Where are we in this world? How many episodes have been aired? Do you know? We've seen 4,
Four
right?
of 6.
All right. So what's happening in the movie, in the show? Where are we?
Well, they replaced Captain America.
Correct. All right. Let's speak about this really quick. So what they did, the end game, Captain America, some would call him Steve Rogers, handed his shield to Sam Wilson and was like, kind of like, hey, I'm passing the shield on to you. And then Winter Soldier started off with Sam Wilson being like, I don't think don't want to step into this iconic role. I think it's more to Steve's legacy. So I'm going to give it to a museum so people can go and be inspired by seeing his shield hanging up at some museum somewhere. Curious. I'm assuming that there's probably like war hero stuff at museums. I just don't think I can think of any at the top of my head. Like they don't have like General Patton's helmet somewhere, do they? Or riding crop?
But they're not Captain America.
That is true. I don't mean to say Patton was.
And also, there was a Smithsonian exhibit already on Captain America, which he goes to in Winter Soldier.
Steals his uniform. Remember?
When Stan Lee gets fired.
Yes, or the Watcher Stan Lee. That is the man with so many jobs. Yeah. So, so the whole thing is like, oh, I don't think where this is, but you know, he'll be iconic. And then we find out pretty early on that they hand the shield over to what seems to be a veteran of wars. I think they mentioned eventually what wars he was in, but I can't remember. Like 3 medals of honor and some other badass stuff. And it seems like everyone likes him. His name is John Walker. And for people from the comic world, John Walker is known as U.S. agent. He also took over the shield, but became like more fanatic about stuff and thus became U.S. agent, where he's more like I don't think lunatic's the right word to use for someone who's overly patriotic. But
a zealot?
Yeah, zealot's a good word. And so I think they didn't go that way here, but it seems like from at least up to episode 4, the John Walker thing is he has a short fuse on like Steve Rogers, maybe. Like he seems to have somewhat of like, I want to do the right thing. Well, at least what America has defined as the right thing. But his actions based on emotional state leads him to do really bad things, which we can mention a little bit later.
The way I would characterize him is that he is what most people were that like were trying to be Captain America.
Sure. Yeah.
Like originally.
No, they were the same. Oh, you mean the guys that were trying out to be Captain America back in the day and everyone's like, why is Steve Rogers here? And then they threw a grenade on the ground and Steve's the only one that jumped on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I get that that feel too. I also still confused because I feel there's someone trying to control him because they know he's a little bit maybe he has less will, and that's kind of the point here, is that they kind of have Battlestar, which is like his friend, but also kind of like when he walks past John Walker's wife and it's like, hey, you're up now. It's made me feel that maybe they're trying to, either they know he has this ability to have mental breaks, or they're trying to control him through his friends almost. It's like, hey, this person's Steve Rogers, you couldn't manipulate him. He had a vision of what he thought was right and wrong, and he's going to go that way, and you just better not be in his way, right? You're not going to come in there and basically try to talk him into the gray. It's not going to happen. But I feel like John Walker, they're selling him a little bit. And then, this is way before the end of episode 4, we can talk about later. But they're trying to like show, oh no, this guy, yeah, he's honorable. He's done this really good stuff, but he's also able to be manipulated a little bit because he's just not that same. I mean, like it said, Steve Rogers is like the only person that took the serum and didn't go crazy. I think Zemo mentioned that.
Theoretically, Bucky didn't go crazy either.
Well, didn't he? I mean, he was kind of, well, did he take the super soldier also, right? Did he ever have the serum? Or was he just brainwashed, trained?
No, he had the serum.
Well, he had the Russian serum, right? He didn't have the super soldier serum. Remember, it was a different serum.
Was it?
I don't know. Was it?
They're both blue.
I thought his was, well, they didn't show him.
He could have even gotten it after he took it from Howard and Maria Stark.
True. But he also was brainwashed put on ice for a long time, frozen, tortured, brought back, and murdered thousands and thousands of people. So he has mental issues, and they kind of call that out in this show, right? So he may have problems because of the serum, also. Because even,
but I mean, like he was able to be restabilized.
well, but not everyone could go to Wakanda, right? Steve Jobs took it and just became a good dude. Like Winter Soldier got it, murdered a bunch of people, went to Wakanda and was trained by Wakanda, the most scientifically advanced country in the Marvel universe, and very like training him to break his mind control. So they probably had some hand in him not becoming like amplifying the bad, where these other people don't have that training. And when I say that, because the Flag Smashers start off with the whole, hey, we are trying to help the poor, and then slowly turn into, well, you're in our way for helping the poor, so now I'm going to bomb and kill you all. Anyhow, I'm not saying Zemo's right either. It just seems that you need to have the right personality to handle serum. And it doesn't seem like John Walker has that power.
Wait. I want to get on this Bucky thing for a second.
Let's get on.
You're telling me that Bucky, like, I feel like Bucky was good. He just got brainwashed. And the brainwashing was the problem.
No.
Bucky was actually a stable.
No. Well, he was stable. I'll admit that. He might have been a stable person, but this is nothing about the comic books. I'm just going by what I read from the movies. I think Bucky would have fit in with the other people Steve was against. Not physically, like whenever they went to find the best guy with the best heart, Bucky would have been with other people. He wouldn't have been a Steve Rogers. So I'm saying if Bucky would have got the serum.
He would have been like the second to Steve Rogers. Because like he also was very loyal to his friend.
I can see Bucky being like John Walker, though. He has a short fuse. He gets mad a lot, right? It's just that he's learned to control that anger by training with the Wakandans.
I mean, the issue was the programming before he...
The programming just made him kill people, but he already had like a tendency for anger, I'm saying.
When?
I'm just making this up as I'm talking.
Yes, you are.
I'm saying the reason Steve Jobs is so good at it, and this is the whole point, like the first thing was...
Steve Jobs?
Yes, the reason Steve Jobs would be a great Captain America is because he would know that you should have a round shield, not one that has sharp edges.
It would be called the eye shield.
I feel like that would be something for like...
And it would be either white or just have the plain finish, stainless steel.
I feel if it was something came out, all right, if Steve Jobs exists in the current state, the eye shield would either be for the pandemic, so it's like you wear it to go shopping, or the eye shield would have been on the Apple car when it gets announced. And it would be like, oh, and one final thing, one big last reveal, it has the eye shield. And it's like, a heads-up display or something. Now, Steve Rogers, I'm saying the whole point of that movie was he was a very unique individual because he was wanted to fight to stop bullies, right? He didn't want power just to have power for the sake of it or to be the strongest person or to be this other thing. Bucky never showed that in any way. All Bucky ever showed was he joined the military, and that's about it.
He also, died heroically or kind of died heroically.
I mean, he fell off a train. Heroically. He fell off a train. Every soldier is willing to die heroically. That's the point of going to war. You're going to die. You're going to die.
The point of war is to make somebody else die heroically.
Well, I mean, you go there with the understanding that you may die, right? Especially back then. Now there is more career military. It's a little different. But back then it was like hey, I'm signing up, I'm volunteering with the knowing that I might die, right? I don't think he wanted to die heroically.
Nobody wants to die heroically or unheroically, but...
I mean, he didn't even die, like, jumping in front of somebody to, like, stop murder. He fell off a train.
I mean, he was trying to accomplish something.
I mean, lots of people
die. He didn't, like, jump off the train.
A lot of people die trying to accomplish stuff. Doesn't mean they're all heroic deaths. That's like the worst argument ever. I love it.
It was in a war.
So that means everyone who died in the war would have died heroically. So any one of them could have taken the serum and been fine, and thus there's no reason to use Steve Jobs.
But they didn't. Steve. They didn't stand up for Captain America and like fight by his side.
Well, then, so you're saying any of the what's their name? Hogan's Heroes. They're not called Hogan's Heroes though. The group that worked with him.
Oh, like the Howling.
Yeah, that's what the Howling.
The Howling Commandos?
Yeah, that's what they are. So you're saying anyone in the Howling Commandos could have taken the serum and been fine.
No, but Bucky was especially loyal.
So loyalty makes you good for the serum. So shouldn't have Steve Rogers been bad at it?
One of those
obviously,
things. It's one of those things.
He wasn't loyal because of the Civil War. He's like, no, screw the government. You're wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Steve Rogers kind of sucked during Civil War.
No, he was right during the Civil War.
He wasn't right. He was like, oh, my friend Bucky who killed all these people. They could have brought him in nicely.
The Civil War was about the fact that he didn't want people to have to register that they have special powers and be controlled by the government. The Sokovia Act. Winter Soldier was the one about him trying to bring his friend in peacefully.
I want to make a vaccination joke right now.
Well, I have a vaccination joke. I mean, it's not a joke. I have a vaccination thing. It's not a joke.
Well, I was going to say, we all register when we get the vaccine.
Yeah, but you're not registering superpowers. You're just saying I'm American. I mean, you have a
You're registering your anti-COVID superpower.
You drive a car too, and you have a driver's license.
Yeah, I'm registering my car driving superpower.
I mean, it is a superpower for some people. Anyhow, I'm just saying. Well, let's go back to the show a little bit. So Zemo, his whole being in this show, which is a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, but if you didn't know that, you probably never watched the trailer, was he's anti the super serum because he believes the super serum drives people to become the worst they can be. Not the worst they can be, but takes their current aptitude and enhances it. And usually that ends up being bad, except for in the single case of Steve Rogers, because that just made him be, hey, I hate bullies. I want to protect people. But like the Flag Smashers become a little more aggressive and a little more, hey, screw everyone else but us, right? It makes them almost.
So I'm gonna just cut you off here because you're struggling to sort of finish. But like sorry,
I'm just trying to think of the right word.
There's an interesting quote about that, right? Like somebody says something about the super serum. And he's like, how many people are Steve Rogers or something like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the middle of the movie, Zemo is making the point of no one should get this serum because the serum enhances this stuff and creates these people who think they are better than everyone else and that they know what is right or wrong. And he's like, it never works. And Falcon at that time then says, what about Steve Rogers? And then with a donut on his finger, he says, all right, there's one exception.
Yeah.
But how often are you going to find that one exception? And Bucky doesn't
also,
even. Bucky doesn't even.
You missed out on something else, though. We found out that Zemo is really rich.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, which is awesome because he's a Baron.
Yeah.
I actually like Zemo a lot more in this, I think, than the original. I mean, the original movie Zemo, you didn't really get to know him at all, I guess. But I think the actor and the way he's being portrayed in this is a lot more interesting.
Yeah, Daniel Bruhl, I think is his name.
Yeah, and I think this is the grayness of the character, right? It's like you're not 100% against him, but you're also not going to cheer for a mass murderer. Because like in one of the episodes, they're going to look for the scientist that has rediscovered the super serum, right? And they get there, and I'm sitting there watching it going like, Zemo's probably going to kill this guy. And they do this whole interview. They interviewed him. They got information about like how they figured out the serum, and then Zemo does kill him. But part of you is also sitting there going like, well, I mean, the dude was making the serum for the power broker. Is just arresting him going to change that? Like, well, they're not cops. Like, what would they do? But murder's bad. Anyway, but I like the Zemo character a lot in this, especially because they released that hour-long Zemo dance cut.
That they did do that.
That's totally thing. That was totally like this is gonna be this
on the YouTube.
Well, it was released by Marvel too, so it's definitely them.
Oh, was it released by Marvel?
Yes, that's a Marvel thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Apparently, people loved it so much that they looked at the social media and reacted instantaneously on it. I think people actually hashtag like release the Zemo dance or something like that, mocking the Snyder Cut, and then Marvel released it. And I think that Marvel's definitely in tuned a lot better than other parts of Disney and Warner Brothers with memeing. And that's pretty. I think that's pretty great. So yeah, back to John Walker. He seems to be a little unstable. In fact, and this is like spoiler territory now. We've been talking for a while, so people can tune out for a second. He sees Battlestar get killed by the Flag Smashers, even though someone on this call right now, this conversation, says that the serum doesn't make you become evil, but then the Flag Smashers kill a lot of people still.
I'm just saying it didn't make Bucky necessarily go evil. It made other people go evil.
I'm not saying it made. I still don't know if he has a super serum in him, or is he just strong because of his arm?
I think he's got the super serum because isn't that like the whole thing with Winter Soldier was they took the super serum and then Baron Zemo was. He goes and he kills the other Winter Soldiers, and he said, "Well, why would I want more of you?"
Yeah, I guess you're right. But why doesn't it work? Like, because whenever Steve got the super serum, He had to be also get Vita rays pumped into him at the same time.
Now, that's a good point. But maybe Bucky got like a later version of the serum.
But it was when he was. So I was looking it up, and it seemed to happen when Zola was trying to recreate it when he captured the soldiers before Captain America saved him in the first.
It's possible that maybe the Vita rays like didn't do anything. Like they just like
Well, probably because it was a Stark that was working on it, so it makes sense that Stark would fail.
Stark didn't fail. Maybe the Vita rays are why Steve Rogers didn't go crazy and everybody else did.
Maybe. There you go. And so Bucky went crazy.
Okay, I'm going to concede that because I need to. This is like a chess match where I need to sacrifice Bucky in order to save Stark.
I'll rephrase this. How about this? Bucky does get experimented on when he comes to Winter Soldier and gets the serum injected to him, but maybe he gets the serum injected over him in a controlled area with scientists over and over again, right? Trying to like perfect it. And he's also never has time to react because he gets frozen, put back into deep sleep. Where the Flag Smashers and eventually John Walker just drink it right there under no supervision and just start using their powers. So it's like you wouldn't just like put someone in a car that's never seen a car before and say drive down this crowded road. And so Steve Rogers and Bucky not only got the super serum, they also had time and training to use their powers, to understand their new abilities, while the Flag Smashers and anyone else that may be using the super serum, the new version, which is like you just drink it and you got it, don't have that time. And so they just slowly feel like they're more empowered and emboldened because of it.
So I had to do something that we never admit to doing on this show.
You searched for something, didn't you?
Yes. And Bucky received Zola's attempts to recreate the serum.
But when?
He got it after the fall. It was an imperfect serum, but it enabled him to survive the fall.
So he got it after the fall, so when he was captured. So I'm saying, and it says he got it from Zola's attempts with Portal. So I'm saying,
However, it may have been perfected later and then given to him again.
That's what I'm saying. Was he constantly getting like multiple doses of serum over time, right?
Possibly.
Versus just like getting all your powers at once. And I'm just saying,
that's possibly.
If tomorrow morning, if I woke up with like Arnold Schwarzenegger strength, it might have a different change in my mental state than if I worked out and got like and took steroids for like 8 months and got to Arnold Schwarzenegger's body. Like there's a difference in that. So maybe that's why, since there's a slow burn. And also, when he was being experimented by Zola, like I said, he'd be woken up, given drugs, and put back to sleep. It wasn't like he went and did shit.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I think I don't know.
That actually sounds like a pretty good life. I mean, except for like the whole being experimented on part. But it's like, hey, wake up, take the serum. That's going to make you awesome. Now go back to bed.
And maybe if we feel like it when you're awake, can you go murder some people for us?
So, I mean, yes, that is a drawback of the lifestyle.
Which I really like. So this is something we didn't touch on at all with Bucky is in the beginning of the Winter Soldier, they did have the whole, he's dreaming of the people he murdered, like PTSD. He's in therapy for it. And I think the cool part, like they show him first doing like hang out with this old man and getting food with him. Like, oh, that's nice. Cause originally I thought, oh, he wants to hang out from someone from his time, right? Cause he's technically from the 40s, whatever, 40s, 30s. So he want to hang out with someone that was from the time period that he lived. And then it shows him slowly like getting revenge on a Hydra person that he has a name in a book. But then it turns out that the guy he's hanging out with, he also killed that guy's son during one of his murdery sprees. And the son was just an innocent bystander. And he's been trying to like work it up to tell this old man that he murdered his son. And I just like to see that depth of character being shown, which you never would have gotten in a movie. Because you're not going to have a Winter Soldier movie. You're not going to have just him as the main character in a movie. But I thought that was pretty dope. But also shows that it's not a fun life.
You bring up a good point, because one of the things that's kind of a disappointment is, like, there was never a Captain America show. There was never an Iron Man show. There was never I guess the closest thing, I guess, with Agent Carter, you kind of get to see, like, Stark's dad, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Like, so in some ways, we know these like secondary characters better than we know the primary characters.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's interesting though, the secondary characters we're getting to know about is after the deaths of the primary characters too, right? Because Captain America's out of this limelight. Stark's dead. Those are the two main characters, really. I mean, there's other main characters, but those are the two that were driving forces of the MCU, I would say. And now we're learning about WandaVision. Now we're learning about Winter Soldier and Falcon. And so it is pretty. I think it's part of that. Like we need to pass the flag. We need to pass the shield to someone. but we don't have the ability to do it in just a movie because I mean Iron Man wasn't a known thing, but since you already have the MCU, you can't just have a movie that has no connections. So now this is a stepping stone for the next Avengers or the next Thunderbolts. So
what do you think that there could be an Avengers movie where it's not a supernatural villain? Like it's not like a supernatural is maybe not the right word, but it's not like a big villain like
wow,
Loki's army or like whatever. It could just be like the Avengers fighting a war against like 20 super soldiers.
what would I would like? I'm not sure how they pull this off. I just mentioned the Thunderbolts. So in the comic books world, there is a point where I think it's when Heroes Reborn. It was right before Heroes Reborn. I can't remember when it happened, but a group of Avengers called the Thunderbolts were formed, and they were all hero-like characters. But really, what the Thunderbolts were villains pretending to be heroes to replace the heroes that disappeared, so that they wanted to fight crime, but under the hoods do evil, right? But so they wouldn't stop themselves, but they would just like have this persona of being this evil, of being the heroes. So I think it'd be interesting if they kind of built towards a Thunderbolt thing, and then it's discovered they're evil, and then that's who they have to battle. So you like build up the Avengers side and the Thunderbolt side at the same time. And some of the people in the Thunderbolts was like Baron von Zemo was one of the main leaders of the Thunderbolts because he has the money. So he could afford to invest into this. And he has that gray area where he kind of hates superheroes because he doesn't believe that their powers should go unchecked because they can kill millions of people. And so he could start funding this underground dark Thunderbolts group based on characters from the shows we're watching that we only get side, views of, and then have that be the battle. So it's two super groups.
So relative wealth-wise, who do you think is richer, Stark or Zemo?
Stark.
Why do you say that?
I believe, well, I mean, based on what we've seen in the show, Stark's plane is better.
Okay.
Stark owns a building in multiple places, and everywhere Stark went, people knew who he was. Where Zemo doesn't seem to have that same, like if Stark would have walked into that club that they went to, well, it was like, the art gallery / dance party, he would have been swarmed by people, where Zemo just walked in and no one knew who he was. So my feeling is Zemo's money is like old school money. Like he's just been he inherited money from like past barons for like hundreds of years. So he's rich, but he's rich because he's earned this money, where Stark is like Bezos money, billions of dollars, whereas Zemo's like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Now you said Stark would have been sworn, but in fairness, Zemo had been out of the party scene for a while.
Even if Stark disappeared in a cave for a year, when he came back, he'll get swarmed.
There's no evidence that would ever happen.
It's what happened. There's no way someone could be richer than Stark and not also be an unknown entity in the world. Like Zemo seemed to be an unknown entity whenever like he showed up in Winter Soldier. It wasn't like, oh my God, that's Zemo, the richer guy than Stark. Stark is like a billionaire. Everyone knows him. He has Formula One race car groups. He has jets. He has buildings with his name on it.
You think Stark is a billionaire, and you think that maybe like Baron Zemo is like hundreds of millions?
Yeah, I would say Stark is like at the Bezos, right? Multiple billionaire. And Zemo would be like the owner of Costco, who's probably
all right.
Millions of dollars.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Do you know who the owner of Costco is? Because I don't. That's what I'm saying.
I think this has been settled to my satisfaction.
Perfect.
We may move on.
So there was an interesting thing I was reading about the show, that people were thinking that the plot line was changed, and this was actually a pandemic story on top of what it is currently, and it actually kind of makes sense to me, but it was written before the pandemic happened, and so they kind of changed a lot of it. And what I mean by that is what people were thinking the plot was going to be was, you have the snap, right? Half the people of the world are gone.
Yep.
During that 5 years, a pandemic occurs. And so the world gets together and solves that pandemic. Well, it doesn't solve it, gets a vaccine, right? But the vaccine is just shared across the world. And then everyone gets snapped back in. So now your population has grown twice as big. And now people are trying to control the vaccines to help their specific returned people to society. And that is why the Flag Smashers take the first thing they show them stealing are vaccines. Mm-hmm. That is why when they go hide out in the one computer place, the guy actually says, hey, we just cleaned this out, like cleaned the building, as in they cleaned it for the disease, so that it's a clean building. And then also the lady who dies, whose name I can't remember, like you never meet her. She's like sick in the bed, and then dies, and it's kind of like set off screen was from TV, that person actually dies from this disease. And so the Flag Smashers are all about, when you guys weren't here, we worked together to survive, and now you come back and we have all these borders again. And that's why they're going so doing this extremeness versus just being like, oh, we need food, right? And there's like some multiple sources. I thought it was a really interesting take, and I thought that'd be kind of I can understand why they wouldn't do it during a pandemic, because I mean, right now the richest countries do get all the vaccines.
Well,
it's true. Anywho, so I could see why that would be maybe a no-no. But I thought it was an interesting take on the way it got cut. Like, because you see them, like, why are they stealing vaccines? Like, doesn't make sense for the Flag Smashers. So I think the big thing is the new Captain America is a media star. People love him. They love seeing him run on football fields, and they love seeing him cut off heads with shields. Decapitation America.
yeah.
So for those...
Do you think that'll be like the headline?
I don't know. Maybe they show the next episode just starts up with like the old school like newspaper headlines popping up. No. Well, what do you think is going to happen? So if, for those who might not know and you're still here for some reason, in the last episode that aired, John Walker and Battlestar are chasing down some of the Flag Smashers. And I still don't understand the theory behind this. They're going to kill John Walker. The Flag Smashers wanted to. So they set a trap up. They accidentally kill Battlestar and somehow freak out about that because they weren't there to murder people anyhow. And they start running away. John Walker chases one of them down, and in a fit of rage, in front of everybody with their cameras on, decapitates the dude with the shield. After we find out he took the serum. So the question is, do you think it will go a media blitz, everyone disowns John Walker and he goes in the dark? Or does the government cover it up and try
I don't think they can cover it up.
Well, the video will be there, but they spin it to be like, that guy had a gun. That guy, just killed some people over here. Like, start like changing the narrative. Like, he wasn't going to blow up the building behind you. Yeah, the optics look bad, but he was a really bad dude. So will they try to bury the lead on this Captain America murdering something? Will Captain America, John Walker, Captain America, will he have to relinquish the shield? And I'm wondering, I actually think there might be a cover-up that tries to happen, and Bucky and Falcon steal the shield from him. And that's why in the trailers you see them at like a farmhouse hiding out kind of with the shield.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see a situation where, and actually, there's something we missed in all of this. In my rant about this, they've actually covered some of the race issues.
Yeah,
like the police stop of Sam.
I like that police stop of Sam. It's really, well, there's two of them, right? It was actually at the same time. So actually, maybe three things. The Winter Soldier was taking Sam to go meet somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And while they're walking down the street, there's two kids playing basketball. No, they're just hanging out, and one of the kids is like, oh, hey, look, it's the Black Falcon, right? And then Falcon went on the whole talk. He's like, no, I'm just the Falcon. Like, you don't need that adjective. Like, I'm just the Falcon. That's what I am. I don't call you the black kid, right? You're just a kid. And so that was like one of like, stop this whole like, because over the last 20, 30 years, it's always like, well, you can't have, a black Nick Fury. Nick Fury was a white dude in the comics, right, with Samuel West. It's always this like, you need to cast the right person. I think that was part of this. So, and also stemming if Falcon ends up being the new Captain America, also, no, he is not the Black Captain America. He is the Captain America. So it's like attacking both those at the same time. Then they went and spoke to Isaiah Bradley, who was a black soldier in, was it World War II still, or maybe it was Vietnam War?
No, that was Korea, I believe.
Korea War, that the U.S. government experimented on using the super serum to try to make another Captain America. So like another like, look how fucked up this is. Right, which I think that as Isaiah Bradley, I would love if they made an actual spinoff with him and did like a Korean War Isaiah Bradley story. I think that'd be kind of cool. Then when they leave his house, when they're walking down the street, the cops pull over. The cops come up and basically are about to arrest Falcon before they realize, because he's black, and before they realize he's the Falcon. Then they're like, oh, we're sorry, right? And then they arrest the Winter Soldier because he missed his therapy. But like they hit like three major.
I didn't recognize you without your goggles.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They made three major like attacks against how authority has treated black figures in society in that one episode. I thought it was pretty dope. Also, there's a comic called The Truth. It's in trade now. It's about Isaiah Bradley, and I've heard it's really, really good. I think I read it back in the day. I just don't remember it very well. But it is a story about how they were experimenting on black soldiers to make the super serum. Again, I recommend it as a read. I've heard really good things about it. And then there's something. There's also the other thing they did was, and this is like a weird thing of Falcon wanted to get a loan to get money to save his family's ship boating fishing industry and boat, I guess. I don't understand how fishing works apparently. And he goes to a bank and the bank does the same thing. It's like, well, you don't have any income for the last 5 years. Like, well, I was snapped away and you don't get paid as an Avenger. He's like, yeah, but look at my business plan. I have a really good business plan, right? And it's totally, again, one of those, we don't care because of these other reasons that's beyond your control, which is usually a way of saying you're not part of that privileged class.
I don't know. Do you think that was racial, or do you think that was more of like trying to
I think
show the difficulties of being gone for 5 years?
No, I think it was both. I think it was both of them, because she's mentioned her sister who was there has mentioned I tried to get loans multiple times.
Oh yeah, but the other thing that's interesting is you don't get paid as an Avenger.
No, why would you? Who's gonna pay you? The U.S. government?
The Stark Foundation?
No, Stark's doesn't like spending money. I actually don't know. In all honesty,
in Age of Ultron, he claims that he pays for everything. I assume that was like some sort of like at least healthcare and like some sort of like decent package.
Maybe it's more of.
But I guess Stark's gone now. So
well, yeah, Stark's gone, and the Avengers are broken up, right?
And I guess you don't get paid as an Avenger when you don't exist for 5 years.
And Falcon was on the wrong side of the Civil War. Well, not on Stark's side of the Civil War. Let me rephrase that, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. So he wouldn't be getting paid during that time,
right? And he's probably not getting paid like millions of dollars. He's probably just getting paid soldier because again, he's not at the time wasn't like the top swinging general person. He was like just a foot soldier in the Avengers. So he's probably not getting paid millions of dollars. He's just probably at best getting paid a military salary.
He was on his rookie deal.
Yeah. So
yeah, you got to renegotiate.
I think probably most of the money for if Avengers existed, it'd be more like The Boys, where the Seven, most of their money comes from merchandising and movies of your character than from a salary from the work you do.
Fair.
So Falcon probably wasn't famous enough yet to sell Falcon Nikes, where Captain America could sell, anything.
But he wouldn't.
I
mean, that's why Captain America was living in like that apartment.
Yeah.
In was it Winter Soldier? Yeah, it was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
he's living in like a regular apartment, and I always thought it was really funny that like he's living in this regular apartment, but the shield he has is probably, I mean, at the time before like Wakanda existed, there was so much vibranium on the market. It was the most valuable metal on the planet. So like that shield was worth way more than the building that he lived in.
Well, I'm thinking about it now is so Black Panther is the king of a country, so he hasn't needed
just
income.
Panther. There's no need to call him the Black Panther now. Come on,
that's his title. Anyhow, and Iron Man is just rich from his technologies, right? Wanda and Vision lived in the Avengers building, so they didn't have money. So, and then Cap just had a chintzy little apartment, so he probably didn't have money. Or maybe he got money from, he invested something in the 40s and then woke up and the investments are still there, so he has money from that. So like really most of the Avengers are already wealthy. Like Hawkeye lived on a farm, so he probably didn't have a lot of money. So it seems like they wouldn't be like, the only people that are rich are the king and the inventor of everything in the MCU. Now, do you get paid if you work for S.H.I.E.L.D.? Like, but the Avengers were part of S.H.I.E.L.D., so they must have been paid. I know. They probably didn't get paid a lot.
Didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, they probably didn't get paid a lot. How about that? They probably got paid like, like I said, a military salary, whatever FBI people make. I don't know what FBI, like something like that, right?
Like on the G pay scale.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then he was gone for 5 years. And like, well, how's that even work? Like, again, the blip thing still, like, if I would disappear for 5 years, does my banks all close and my wills kick off and all my money gets transferred to somebody? Because I got blipped, because they were considered dead, right?
Yeah.
So basically all my money, if like my whole family got blipped because it was random, right? My money would have been left to whoever gets it, if no one's alive that could inherit it, which is the government, right?
Yes. So
when I unblip, I don't get that money back, I'm assuming. Or the government wouldn't want to give it to me back. How about that? Because like they're considered dead. I'm actually now even more curious about this whole fiasco. Like if I had blipped and I was married, at least, the person I'm married to would inherit all the money, right?
Yeah.
But if I was a single dude and I got blipped away, all my shit goes away. It goes like there's no inheritance. It just disappears.
No, but here's the thing. Let's just say your wife during 5 years meets somebody else.
Gets married.
Yeah.
Are we
If
still
that dude got all
married?
your stuff and your wife, that's so fucked up.
But are we still married?
Oh, it's a good point. But no, but I mean, like,
Because the blip
like you
wasn't
come
death,
back, like you get blipped back into your own like bedroom, right?
and they're there.
Yeah, and they're there. Oh, that's so messed up. Because you could imagine, like, you get blipped back, like, let's say it happened at night, like whatever time zone you're in,
Yep.
and like you're in bed with your wife, you get blipped, then you get blipped back,
And you're on top
and
of
then
the new
you're on top
husband.
of this dude.
That's so weird.
I know. And then like he's got all your stuff and your wife.
But do I have any like if I just go on a disappear for 5 years and come back and like I was pronounced dead, do I have any recourse?
No. I mean, Bruce Wayne was able to come back from the dead.
Yeah, but that's Bruce Wayne. He's a Wayne. Like didn't the butler inherit all the money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, you only paid as an Avenger.
Yeah,
so. Basically, we learned. Anything else about Winter? Sorry, I totally lost concentration on what we were talking about.
No, I actually think. I mean, like, look, I think we'll have to. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Oh, I think the big thing I want to say before we can move on or end this is how's your feeling between this show and WandaVision?
I like this more than WandaVision.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's because it has more implications on the MCU, whereas like WandaVision was like contained within itself.
Interesting.
What about you?
I think we talked about this a little bit at WandaVision where, well, it wasn't even WandaVision. What were we talking about? I can't remember. But I feel that I liked WandaVision a lot. It had a slow burn, I think what it was. And it had that like Twin Peaks feel to it. Just throwing out a really old TV show that people will never watch probably. Where I like those shows, but they also like the mystery that kind of slowly unravels and it's a little slow and a little quirky and a little odd. But they're also shows that are kind of like hard to rewatch later. Because it's like, oh, I already know all the quirkiness. I already know like the interesting things. Where Winter Soldier is more of a straightforward spy movie almost. And buddy cop movie or show.
Like political thriller.
Yeah. And so episode to episode, even though there's more mystery in WandaVision, I feel like episode to episode, I'm more excited to find out what happens next in Winter Soldier than I was in WandaVision.
I can see that, yeah.
Even though the mystery is probably bigger in WandaVision. But I think maybe you're right. Maybe it is tied to the fact that the mystery was tied around a single character in a single small town versus this is like you said, global scale. Sorry, my head blew up for a second there. Global scale change. The reason my head blew up, I'm like, what if, I don't know who owns Star Trek. Is it Disney? I don't know. It probably isn't Disney.
No, it's not. It's Paramount.
If they owned Star Trek, though, they could use this moment in MCU as the reason why the world becomes a single federation.
Oh, God.
And this whole
Moving on.
This whole thing builds into the world of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of horrible, but funny. Oh, I think the last thing that I sent you a text message about this because I want to say it just in case it happens. Sokovia, they mentioned how it got basically, it fell apart because of course it did. And then the ruins were going to be built up until the blip happened, and now they're still ruins again. And people are just randomly purchasing property there and like rebuilding pieces of it, and it's like not under any single government control. And I kind of text messaged you like, what if part of the Sokovia gets like carved out as Latveria, as Dr. Doom purchases land to create his own country? And that's
I think what would be cool is if you find it like Latveria is like a region of Sokovia, and like Doom is just like a prominent figure in that, and like it just splits off.
Yeah, like when Russia had like owned Poland, right, and eventually they broke off and became Poland again, something like that. I don't know history because I went to public school in the United States.
So let's save Loki for like the next thing. We'll just consider this to be the Winter Soldier.
Sure.
/
And also, just so everyone knows, we haven't really live streamed it yet, but we've been watching Winter Soldier together or streaming together. So maybe if we're interested, we can have that audio available so people can hear Drave talk over important parts of the show, and my mind going like, I gotta rewatch this later now, you son of a bitch.
So if you would like to reach out to us, you can tweet us at NLK_podcast. You can Instagram us, Insta us at No Life Kings, and you can email us at podcast@nolifekings.com.
You are
Case,
right.
Any closing remarks?
No, I'm just surprised that you nailed all those perfectly.
Right. You know, after 38 episodes, you get pretty good at things.
Awesome. And on that note, I will say my catchphrase of cheers.
And now I will say my catchphrase. My rant and
I was just thinking about that. That's what I talk about. Soldier and throw the like he's able to throw without the super serum. They show me.
That's not very far.
No, what you really want to do is train with
The kings return to Zion, and a comet fills the sky. The Holy Roman Empire rises,
Oh, yeah.
and you and I must die.
No. I feel like you doing that and me doing that has two different